Ravi adjusted the straps of his small travel pack as he guided his old ship. Along the edge of the forgotten system, the stars around him looked pale and silent, as if this part of space had been left behind by time itself. Most traders avoided these routes because the stations here were broken, abandoned, or too far from the main colonies. But Ravi was not a wealthy man. He took the long paths where the fuel was cheap and the risk was high. As his ship drifted past a dull metal shape in the distance, he felt uneasy. It was an old station, its walls cracked and scarred from battles long ago. No signal came from it. No ships surrounded it. Yet Ravi slowed down, staring at the hollow rings of its structure. Something about the place drew his eyes. He told himself he would just pass quietly and keep moving. The station grew larger in the window, its wide gates open but dark. Ravi tried to push away the feeling that eyes were watching him. His hand hovered over the throttle. He wanted to speed past, but his chest grew tight with curiosity. Just when he thought he was safe to leave it behind, a sound filled his ship. A voice, soft and low, whispered into the air. "Come human." Ravi froze. His heart raced. He checked his comm screen, but no call appeared. The voice had not come from his controls. It sounded as if it had been spoken right beside him. He gripped the chair, eyes scanning the dark station. "Who's there?" he asked. His voice shook. The whisper came again, clear and calm. "Come human. Do not be afraid." Ravi's mind raced with questions. How could anyone live in that broken station? Why call for him, a passing traveler? Every lesson he had learned told him to avoid strange voices in empty places. Yet his curiosity grew stronger. If someone was alive in there, they had survived against all odds. Perhaps they needed help. He swallowed hard and guided his ship toward the gate. The docking arms caught his vessel and pulled it into a dim hangar. Dust floated in the weak light. Machines lay broken across the floor. The silence pressed against him like a heavy blanket. Ravi stepped out carefully, his boots echoing on the metal ground. The air was thin but breathable. He carried only a small lamp in one hand. His other hand stayed near the tool on his belt, though it was hardly a weapon. Shadow moved ahead of him. From the dark corridor, a figure stepped forward. It was a woman, but not human. Her skin shimmered with faint silver lines that shifted like rivers of light. Her eyes glowed pale blue, steady and calm. She wore simple robes that brushed the floor as she moved. Ravi stopped in his tracks. His throat tightened, but he forced words out. "Who are you?" The woman tilted her head. "My name is Nira. You are human, yes?" He nodded slowly. "I'm Ravi. How do you know about humans?" "I have been waiting," she said softly. "Waiting for a human to pass by this place." Ravi frowned. Her words sounded too exact, too certain. "Why? What do you want from me?" Nira stepped closer, but her movement was gentle, not threatening. The silver marks on her skin pulsed as she spoke. "This station holds the last heart of my people, the Alari. It will not open to me. It will not open to any of my kind. It waits for a human touch." Ravi's lamp shook slightly in his hand. He tried to laugh, but it came out weak. "You must be mistaken. I'm just a trader. I fix small engines. I sell scrap. I'm no one." Her eyes glowed brighter. "You are someone. The system knows. That is why I called you." Ravi's breath grew shallow. The silence of the station seemed to press hard around them. He wanted to turn back, to run to his ship and leave her behind. But her voice carried something he could not ignore. It was calm, yet it pulled at him like a strong current. "What happens if I help you?" he asked, his words quiet. Nira raised her hand toward the corridor behind her. "Then the chamber will open. You will see what my people left behind. Knowledge, memories, and more than you can imagine. But I cannot reach it without you." Ravi felt torn. He had only planned to pass through this system quietly, to save fuel and reach the next market. Now a strange woman from a vanished people stood before him, asking for his hand in something far greater than trade. His mind screamed that it was dangerous, but his heart whispered of adventure, of discovery, of something beyond the life of scraps and dust he had always known. He lowered his lamp, letting the glow fall across her calm face. "All right," he said, though his voice shook. "I will see what this is about. But if this is a trick," Nira shook her head gently, "it is no trick. Come, human. The chamber is waiting." With that, she turned and began to walk down the corridor. Her silver lines glimmered like guiding lights in the dark. Ravi hesitated one last time, then followed. His footsteps echoed beside hers as they stepped deeper into the forgotten station, towards secrets that had slept for ages. Ravi followed Nira into the silent corridor. The walls of the station were wide and tall, built from dark metal that seemed older than any colony ship he had seen. Dust floated in the still air, and his footsteps echoed behind her soft ones. The glow from his lamp touched the silver marks on her skin, making them shine brighter. He tried to calm his racing thoughts. Questions filled his head. Who were the Alari? Why did they wait for a human? What could he, a small trader with no special skill, possibly offer? But Nira walked with steady steps, as if she already knew he would follow. "Where are we going?" Ravi asked after a long silence. "To the core," she answered. Her voice was calm, but each word carried weight. "It is where the memory of my people sleeps. The doors are locked, and only you can open them." Ravi frowned. "I still do not understand. Why me? Why a human?" Nira slowed her steps, glancing back at him. "The Alari built this place long ago, when we feared the end of our age. We left behind knowledge, maps, and truths too large for us to carry. But we chose to bind the doors with keys from beyond our kind. Your people were still young then, yet the builders saw something in humans, a spark. They trusted it." Her words sent a strange feeling through Ravi. He wanted to laugh, to deny it, but deep down he felt the truth pressing at him. He remembered the whisper that had reached his ship. Something beyond machines had called him here. They reached a wide hall with broken lights hanging from the ceiling. Old machines lay silent at the walls, their shapes smooth and alien. At the end stood a great circular door, its surface carved with glowing lines that pulsed faintly. Like a heartbeat, Nira stopped before it. "This is the chamber," she said softly. Ravi stepped closer, staring at the door. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. The patterns on it seemed alive, shifting slowly when he moved. He raised his hand, then pulled it back. "What if it is dangerous?" he asked. Nira looked at him with steady eyes. "All paths carry danger. But this door will not harm you. It has been waiting." Ravi's chest felt tight. Slowly, he reached out and placed his palm against the cool surface. At once the glowing lines brightened, racing across the door like rivers of light. The ground trembled. The heavy locks clicked and turned, one after another, as if they had been asleep for centuries and now awakened. The door opened with a deep sound, revealing a vast chamber beyond. Inside, the walls shone with soft blue light, and the center floated, a great sphere of crystal, turning slowly in the air. Round it, hundreds of smaller lights moved, forming patterns like stars. Ravi stepped inside, his eyes wide. The air felt warmer here, filled with quiet energy. "This is the heart," Nira said. Her voice held both pride and sadness. "Here's the memory of the Alari." The crystal sphere brightened as Ravi walked closer. A sudden rush of images filled his mind. He saw worlds with tall towers, ships of light moving between suns, and great cities filled with silver and song. He saw battles too, shadows that struck down those bright cities, leaving them in ruin. Ravi gasped and stumbled back. "What is this? What is it showing me?" Nira's eyes softened. "It is the story of my people. It speaks to you because the chamber accepts you." He breathed heavily, trying to calm his heart. "Why show me all this?" "Because you must know what was lost," she replied. "This map," she pointed to the smaller lights around the sphere, "marks the places where the Alari hid what we could not carry. Knowledge, tools, hope, each one waits for someone to awaken it, and now the task falls to you." Ravi shook his head. "I am just one man. I cannot carry the weight of an entire people." "You are not alone," Nira said. Her silver lines glowed brighter. "I will guide you. My duty is to guard what remains. Yours is to awaken it. Together, we may bring light again. The chamber pulsed as if agreeing with her words. The smaller lights shifted, forming a star map that filled the air. Ravi saw hundreds of systems marked, stretching across the galaxy. His chest tightened as he realized the truth. This was not a small task. This was something that could change the future of many worlds, perhaps even his own people. He turned to Nira, searching her face. If we do this, others will come. Not all will want to protect this knowledge. Some will try to take it. Her eyes glowed softly. Yes, the shadows still hunt. They will sense the awakening. But that is why we must move before they do. Ravi stood in silence. He felt the weight of choice pressing on him. He could leave, return to his small ship, and forget this place, or he could step forward into something far larger than himself. He looked once more at the glowing sphere, at the map of stars waiting to be touched. A strange fire stirred in his chest, one he had never felt before. Finally, he nodded. All right, Nira, show me the path. If I have opened the first door, I will see where the next one leads. A small smile touched her face, the first he had seen. Then our journey begins, Ravi. The chamber has awakened. Now the stars will call. The map shimmered brighter, as if welcoming their choice. The forgotten station was no longer silent. It was alive again, and its secrets were now in human hands. The star map floated around Ravi like a sea of lights. Each point marked a system, and some shone brighter than others, as if calling out to him. The great crystal sphere in the chamber hummed softly, waiting for his choice. Ravi turned slowly, his eyes wide. There are so many. What do they all mean? Nira walked beside him, her silver lines glowing faintly in the chamber's light. Each one is a place where the Alari left a fragment of what we could not carry into the war. Some are vaults of knowledge, some are tools, some are memories. Together they form the legacy of my people. Ravi stared at the map. The thought of so many hidden worlds made his head spin. And you think I am supposed to unlock them all? The chamber has chosen you, Nira said calmly. It will not open to me. It will not open to any other. That means the task belongs to you. Ravi rubbed his forehead. I'm just a trader. I fly from one colony to another, selling scraps. I'm no explorer, no hero. Why would your people trust me? Nira studied him with steady eyes. Perhaps it is not about who you are now, but who you can become. The Alari saw a spark in humans long before you left your home world. They believed your kind would rise when the time came. Her words pressed into him. He wanted to deny them, but the chamber itself seemed to agree, glowing each time he stepped closer to the sphere. He reached out again, brushing his fingers across one of the brighter points of light. The sphere shifted, and suddenly the chamber filled with images. He saw a barren world with cracked ground and a sky of red dust. Beneath its surface lay a vast door like the one he had just opened. Strange machines guarded it, their eyes burning. With silent fire, Ravi gasped and pulled back his hand. The image faded, leaving only the glowing map. What was that? Nira's voice was soft. The first vault calling to you. It lies close enough for us to reach. Ravi shook his head. Those machines look dangerous. Why would your people leave guardians like that? Because not all who seek knowledge come with good hearts, Nira explained. The guardians test the one who enters. They will not yield unless the seeker proves worthy. Ravi's stomach tightened. He had no wish to face machines that tested his worth. Yet deep inside he felt a pull, the same pull that had led him into this chamber. He looked back at Nira. If I do this, if I open more vaults, what happens then? Do we share this knowledge with everyone? Do we keep it hidden? What is the purpose of all this? For a moment her calm eyes darkened with sorrow. That choice is not written. My people believe the one who opened the doors would know how. To carry the burden, you must decide what path to take. Ravi fell silent. He had never made choices larger than trading food for fuel or fixing a broken part on his ship. Now he stood before a task that could shape whole worlds. His hands trembled slightly as he lowered them. He turned his gaze back to the map. And if others learn of this, if they discover what we are doing, they will come, Nira said firmly. The shadows that destroyed the Alari still wander. Others too, hungry for power, will be drawn when the vaults awaken. That is why we cannot wait. Each vault we unlock strengthens the chance for light to rise again. Ravi's thoughts raced. He imagined scavenger fleets, greedy captains, even rival colonies, all fighting to seize this power. He imagined the Corns, a name he had only heard in fearful stories, turning their gaze on him. A chill ran through him. Still, something inside him whispered of the chance to do more than survive. For the first time, he felt as if this small life might have meaning beyond himself. He stepped closer to the sphere and touched the light again, more firmly this time. The image of the barren world appeared once more, clearer than before. This time, he did not pull away. "We go here first," he said. His voice carried both fear and resolve. Nira's eyes glowed brighter, and a small smile touched her face. "Then the path begins. I will prepare the ship." As they left the chamber, the map dimmed behind them, as if resting until they returned. Ravi walked beside Nira in silence, his thoughts heavy. He could no longer pretend this was a simple stop on his trade route. He was now bound to a journey across the stars, guided by a whisper and a map of secrets. When they reached the docking bay, Ravi glanced once more at the dark corridors of the station. He realized the place no longer felt empty. It had given him a task, and he had accepted it. He boarded his ship with Nira and sat in the pilot's chair. The coordinates of the barren world glowed on his screen, already set by the chamber itself. His hands gripped the controls tightly as the ship rose. From the silent hangar, Ravi whispered to himself, "I hope I am not making a mistake." Nira placed her hand gently on the console. "The path of truth is never easy. But remember, the chamber chose you for a reason." The stars stretched before them, and the forgotten station faded into the distance. Ahead waited the first trial, the first test of whether a human truly carried the spark the Alari had seen long ago. The journey to the barren world took 2 days. Ravi spent most of the time staring at the star map displayed on his screen. Each glowing point represented a secret, and the thought of it made him restless. He was not used to carrying such heavy responsibility. Beside him, Nira sat quietly, her glowing marks steady like streams of silver light. She did not speak often, but her calm presence kept him from turning back. When the ship entered orbit, Ravi leaned forward. The planet below looked empty, a wide land of cracked ground and endless red dust storms. Its surface seemed dead, with no signs of water or life. Yet the coordinates from the chamber pointed directly beneath one of the largest canyons. "Are you certain about this?" Ravi asked, tightening his straps. "Yes," Nira replied. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were firm. "The vault sleeps beneath the canyon, if we awaken it. The first secret of the Alari will be ours." Ravi guided the ship into the canyon and landed on a rocky ledge. The air outside was thin and hot. Dust rose in swirls, clinging to his clothes as he stepped out with Nira. Together they walked down a winding path into the canyon floor. The deeper they went, the more the walls of stone gave way to smooth metal. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the ground, lighting their way forward. Ravi ran his fingers across them. They pulsed at his touch, as if recognizing him. At last, they reached a towering door built into the canyon wall. It looked like the chamber door from the station, but larger, with sharper designs. As Ravi stepped forward, the door lit up, the lines of light racing across its surface. The air grew heavy, and a deep sound echoed all around them. Nira placed her hand on his shoulder. "This is the first trial. The vault will not open without a test." Ravi swallowed hard. "What kind of test?" "The kind that measures your spirit," she said. Before he could ask more, the door split open, and a bright light pulled him inside. Ravi blinked and found himself standing in a wide hall. The canyon and Nira were gone. Instead, he was alone. The hall stretched endlessly, and mirrors lined both sides. In each mirror, he saw himself. But each reflection was twisted. One showed him as a thief, stealing from the weak. Another showed him as a coward, running from danger. Another showed him as a man lying to his friends. Ravi's chest tightened. The mirrors spoke in his own voice, whispering his fears. "You are weak. You are nothing but a traitor. You will fail them all." He covered his ears, but the voices grew louder. The reflections pressed against the glass as if they wanted to break free. His legs trembled, and for a moment he thought of turning back. Then he remembered Nira's calm words, the kind that measures your spirit. Ravi took a deep breath and shouted, "I'm not perfect, but I will not run. I am human, and I will choose my own path." The mirrors shook, one by one. The twisted reflections cracked and shattered until only silence remained. The hall faded, and Ravi found himself standing once again before the canyon vault. Nira stood nearby, watching him with steady eyes. "You faced the trial," she said softly. "And you passed." Ravi wiped sweat from his face. His body still shook from the vision. It felt too real. "The vault looks into your heart," Nira explained. "It does not test your strength of body, but your strength of choice. And you chose well." The great door opened wider, revealing the inside of the vault. Together they stepped through. The chamber within was filled with glowing pillars and smooth machines that hummed with life. At the center stood a crystal table. On it rested a device shaped like a crown, shining with blue light. Ravi stepped closer. "What is it?" "A healer," Nira said. All touched her voice. "This device can mend wounds, cure sickness, even slow death itself. My people made it as a gift for the future, and now it is yours to carry." Ravi stared at the crown. His hand shook as he lifted it. It was light, almost too light for what it represented. He thought of colonies struggling with disease, of miners injured with no aid, of families praying for a chance to live longer. With this device, countless lives could be saved, but his heart also felt heavy. If others discover this, they will fight for it. Wars could be started over this alone. Nira nodded. "That is why you must choose wisely. Power can heal, but it can also destroy." Before Ravi could reply, a loud sound filled the chamber. The walls trembled, and a red light flashed across the vault. Nira's face grew tense. "The vault has sent a signal. Others will know it has awakened." Ravi gripped the healer tightly. "Others? Who?" "The Korans," Nira said firmly. "The hunters who destroyed much of my people. They will come." Ravi felt his chest tighten, but he forced himself to stand tall. "Then we cannot stay here. We take this and leave before they arrive." Nira nodded, her silver lines glowing brighter. "The first trial is complete, but many more lie ahead." Together they left the vault, carrying the healer into the dusty air of the canyon. Above them, the red sky swirled, and somewhere far away, an enemy fleet had already begun to move toward them. Ravi gripped the healer tightly as he and Nira hurried back through the canyon. The glowing crown pulsed faintly in his hands, as if alive. Dust storms swirled overhead, and the red sky rumbled with distant thunder. Every step felt heavier than the last dot. When they reached the ledge where their ship waited, Ravi glanced up at the sky. A sharp light streaked across the atmosphere. At first he thought it was lightning, but then the shape grew clearer. It was not a storm. It was a ship. "They are here," Nira said, her voice steady but her eyes tense. "The Korans." Ravi's chest tightened. He had heard stories of the Korans since childhood. Traders spoke of them in whispers, describing them as ruthless hunters who raided colonies and left nothing behind. Their ships were faster, their weapons stronger, and their greed endless. The enemy ship entered orbit, its shadow passing over the canyon. Ravi and Nira climbed aboard their own small vessel. The engines roared as Ravi pulled them into the air. "Strap in," he said, his voice sharper than usual. "This is going to be rough." The ship shot out of the canyon and into the sky. Alarms blared as the Koran vessel locked onto them. A beam of energy cut through the air, missing them by a narrow space. Ravi gritted his teeth, twisting the controls. "I cannot fight them," he muttered. "Our ship is too small." Nira placed her hand on the console, her silver marks glowing. "Then we do not fight. We outthink them." The Koran ship fired. Again, shaking their vessel, Ravi's hands flew across the controls, guiding the ship into a dive through the storm clouds. Lightning flashed around them. The thick clouds made it harder for the Korans to aim, but it also blinded Ravi. "Left," Nira said calmly. "Then rise. Trust me." Ravi followed her directions. To his surprise, Her sense of space seemed sharp, as if she could see paths. He could not. The ship shot upward through a break in the clouds, just as a beam tore through the space they had left behind. Still, the Corns did not give up. Their vessel grew closer, like a predator chasing prey. Ravi's screen filled with warning lights. They are locking onto us again. Take us to the rings, Nira said, pointing at the display. Around the planet stretched a wide belt of rocks and broken moons. The debris will cover us. Ravi pushed the ship forward, flying toward the rings. Huge chunks of stone and ice floated around them, turning slowly in the dark. He wove between them, the ship shaking with each sudden turn. Behind them, the Corns followed, their weapons blasting through rocks to clear the path. Ravi's breath came fast, but he forced himself to stay focused. He remembered the mirrors in the trial, how they had tested his fear. This was no illusion, but the lesson still held true. Running would not save him. He had to choose his path. An idea struck him. He guided the ship toward a cluster of large rocks spinning together. Hold on, he warned. He slipped the ship between two huge stones. The Corn vessel followed, trying to match his path, but as Ravi turned sharply, one of the rocks slammed into the enemy's side. The Corn ship shook, its weapons firing wildly. Ravi seized the moment and pushed the engines to full. The ship shot out of the rings, leaving the Corns behind. Nira looked at him, her calm eyes shining with quiet pride. You see, human cleverness. You chose well. Ravi let out a shaky laugh, though his hands still trembled on the controls. Clever or lucky, I will take either. As they left the planet's orbit, the star map reappeared on the screen, glowing faintly. But Ravi knew the Corns would not stop. They had seen him, they had seen the healer, and they would hunt him across the stars to claim it. He leaned back in his chair, breathing heavily. They will come again. We cannot outrun them forever. No, Nira agreed. But each vault we awaken gives us more than we had before. Tools, knowledge, hope. The more we unlock, the stronger we become. Ravi looked at her, his voice low. You mean the stronger I become? Her silver lines pulsed softly. Not only you, us, together. The Alari trusted humans, but it is not a task meant for one alone. I will guide you, Ravi. I will not leave you to face this path by yourself. Her words eased the weight on his chest. For the first time since leaving the station, he felt less alone. He glanced at the healer in his lap, glowing softly like a small star. This device could save countless lives, but it could also draw endless danger. Already, enemies hunted them for it, and yet, part of him felt stronger for holding it. Ravi looked back at the star map, his eyes settling on the next bright point. He felt fear, yes, but also something else, a fire that told him this was only the beginning. Then we keep going, he said firmly, one vault at a time. Let the Corns chase. We will stay ahead. Nira nodded, her calm smile returning. Yes, the path is dangerous, but it is also filled with light, and now you carry that light. Outside the window, the stars stretched endlessly, waiting. Ravi guided the ship forward, knowing the next trial awaited them somewhere among those distant points of light. The ship drifted through the dark stretch between stars. Ravi sat in the pilot's chair, staring at the glowing star map on the screen. Each bright point pulled at him, a promise of discovery and danger. He rubbed his tired eyes and glanced at the healer resting in its case. Its soft blue light reminded him of both hope and burden. Nira sat beside him, her silver lines glowing faintly. She seemed calm, but Ravi knew she was watchful. The Corns would not give up after failing once. Somewhere in the void, they hunted. Where do we go next? Ravi asked quietly. Nira touched the map. One of the lights grew brighter, showing a small world near the edge of a fading star. Here. It holds another vault, but this one is older. It will not be easy to reach, Ravi sighed, though a small spark of determination flickered in his chest. Then we go. The journey took several days. Along the way, Ravi practiced using the ship's systems more skillfully. He pushed himself to learn faster, knowing that clever hands might mean the difference between survival and capture. Nira guided him with patience, teaching him things no human trader had ever known. At last, they arrived. The world below was covered in ice, its surface cracked like broken glass. Bright light from the weak star reflected off the frozen land, making it shine like a mirror. Ravi guided the ship down carefully, landing near a mountain split by a deep crack. The star map pointed inside. Together, he and Nira stepped out into the cold. The wind cut against his face, sharp and bitter, but he pushed forward. Inside the crack, they found another hidden door. This one was covered in thick ice, but as Ravi touched it, the ice melted away. The glowing lines awakened, welcoming him once more. The door opened, and they entered the vault. Inside, the chamber was filled with rows of crystal pillars, each one glowing with soft white light. In the center stood a tall structure shaped like a tower of glass. Energy flowed through it. Humming softly, "What is this place?" Ravi whispered. Nira's voice carried awe. "A library. The Alari stored their memories here. Knowledge from thousands of years, waiting for someone to claim it." Ravi stepped closer. As his hand brushed the tower, visions filled his mind. He saw ancient battles fought among the stars. He saw tools that could grow crops in barren soil, machines that could turn dust into water, and maps of hidden paths across the galaxy. But he also saw weapons, terrible ones that could destroy worlds in a single strike. His chest tightened as the visions rushed through him. He pulled his hand away, gasping. Nira looked at him with quiet understanding. "You saw it, the gift and the danger." Ravi nodded, his face pale. "If this knowledge falls into the wrong hands, it could burn the galaxy." "Yes," Nira said softly. "That is why the vaults sleep. Until chosen. The Alari believe only those with both fear and courage could decide." Ravi sat on the cold floor, his thoughts heavy. He thought of the healer in their ship, of the lives it could save. He thought of these weapons and how many would fight to control them. His heart ached with the weight of choice. Nira sat beside him. Her glowing lines pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. "What do you feel, Ravi?" He took a long breath. "I feel like every step makes the burden heavier. But I also feel that turning back is no longer possible. Someone has to carry this. And for some reason, it has fallen to me." Nira placed her hand lightly on his arm. "You are not alone. I told you before, and I will tell you again. I walk this path with you." Ravi looked at her. Her calm strength steadied him. Slowly, he stood. "Then we take what can help, and we leave behind what can destroy." Together they touched the crystal tower again, but this time Nira guided the flow. Only certain lights left the structure, filling a small sphere she carried. These were the gifts of healing, farming, and survival, not the weapons of ruin. As they turned to leave, a loud tremor shook the vault. The floor cracked, and Ravi nearly fell. Above them, the ice ceiling shattered, letting in a blast of frozen wind. "They are here," Nira said, her eyes glowing brighter. Ravi's heart pounded. "The Korans?" She nodded. "The signal from this vault has reached them. We must leave now." They ran through the crack in the mountain, the sphere of knowledge clutched in Nira's hands. Ravi pushed forward despite the freezing wind, his breath burning in his chest. Behind them, faint shapes moved through the storm, dark and swift. They reached the ship and hurried inside. As the engines roared, Ravi glanced back at the icy land. He could almost feel the Korans closing in, their shadows stretching across the snow. The ship lifted off, breaking free from the storm. Ravi guided it into space with shaking hands, his eyes fixed on the stars ahead. Nira placed the sphere beside the healer, both glowing softly. "The vaults are awake. More wait for us." But the Korans grow closer. Ravi tightened his grip on the controls. Fear still burned inside him, but now it mixed with resolve. Each trial tested him, yet each one also made him stronger. He was no longer just a trader drifting between colonies. He was carrying the light of a fallen people. And with Nira at his side, he would not let it fall into darkness. Outside, the galaxy stretched on, vast and waiting. Ahead, more vaults called to him, and somewhere behind, the hunters chased. The stars stretched endless outside the ship as Ravi guided it through the black. His hands shook on the controls, but he kept flying forward. Behind them, the Koran ships followed, their shadows dark against the light of the stars. Nira stood. Beside him, her glowing lines bright and sharp. She studied the screens. Her face calm, but her voice steady with urgency. They are faster. We cannot run forever. Ravi bit his lip. He had carried the healer. He had carried the sphere of knowledge. And he had carried the burden of choice. Now it seemed the choice would not be his. The hunters were here, and there was no safe path left. Then we stand, he said. His voice was quiet, but it carried weight. Nira turned to him, her silver eyes watching. You would face them here. Yes, Ravi answered. We cannot keep running. If they take this knowledge, all worlds will suffer. We fight, and if we fall, at least we try to protect it. For a long moment, Nira said nothing. Then she nodded. Very well, I fight with you. They prepared the ship. Nira showed Ravi how to wake the defense systems hidden in its frame. Old Alari weapons hummed as power flowed through them, shining with light. Ravi felt fear rise inside him, but he forced it down. He could not let fear guide him. Soon the Koran ships closed in. Their dark hulls glimmered under the starlight, sharp and menacing. They circled like wolves around prey. A voice filled the comms, deep and harsh, human, alien. Hand over the relics, and we may let you live. Ravi's hand tightened on the controls. No, these belong to none who would use them to harm. You will not have them. The comms went silent. Then the Korans attacked. The first blast shook the ship, but Ravi swung it around, firing back. Streams of light crossed the void, striking against the enemy's shields. Nira stood at the weapon controls, her hands moving with precision. Her calm strength flowed into him, steadying his shaking heart. One Koran ship exploded, breaking apart in a silent flash. But more came, their numbers pressing hard. Ravi dodged and turned, sweat dripping down his face as he fought to stay ahead. Too many, he muttered. Then we must be clever, Nira replied. Not strong or clever. Her words lit a spark in him. Ravi searched the star map quickly. Nearby, a cluster of broken asteroids floated, sharp rocks drifting in a spiral. He guided the ship toward them, weaving between the stones. The Korans followed, but the narrow paths forced them to slow. Ravi darted between rocks, using the cover to strike back. Two more enemy ships fell, shattered by blasts against the asteroids. Still, more pressed on. Ravi's ship shuddered under the fire, alarms screaming. Sparks burst from one of the panels, and smoke filled the cabin. Ravi coughed, but his hands never left the controls. We cannot hold much longer, Nira said, her voice calm even as the ship shook around them. Ravi's eyes narrowed. He thought of the healer. He thought of the sphere of knowledge. He thought of all the lives these could save. He could not let them fall into Koran hands. We use the vault's gift, he said. Nira looked at him. The knowledge of survival. Yes, you said it could shape energy. Could it shield us? Nira hesitated, then her glowing lines brightened. It may, but it will burn the core. The ship may not survive. Ravi nodded. If it saves the knowledge, then so be it. Together, they placed the sphere into the central panel. Light spread across the ship, brighter and brighter, wrapping it in a glowing shield. The next volley of Koran fire struck, but the blast melted harmlessly against the light. The hunters tried again and again, but the shield held. Then Nira's hands moved over the sphere, shaping its flow. The shield pulsed outward like a wave. Energy struck the Koran ships, tearing through their hulls. One by one, they broke apart, swallowed by silence. At last, only wreckage drifted in the void. The stars shone clear again. Ravi sagged in his chair, breathing hard. The ship's systems flickered weakly. The core was nearly gone, and they floated powerless among the stars. Nira touched the panel gently. Her glowing lines dimmed, tired but steady. We are alive, but the ship cannot go farther. Ravi looked out at the vast dark. He felt both heavy and light, heavy with exhaustion, light with the knowledge they had survived. He turned to Nira. We may be stranded, but the relics are safe. The Korans failed. She gave a small nod. And because of that, many worlds may live. For a moment, they sat in silence, side by side. Ravi felt the weight of the stars, endless and cold. Yet he also felt something warmer, something steady. Neera's presence was not just comfort. It was a reminder that he was no longer alone. Then the ship's sensors blinked weakly. A signal approached, faint but real. Another ship, not Korn. Ravi stared. A trader vessel. They must have caught the fight. Neera's silver eyes met his. Then this journey is not over. Others will come to know what you carry. You must choose carefully who to trust. Ravi nodded slowly. The burden remained heavy, but now it felt bearable. He had faced the hunters and lived. He had touched the vaults and chosen wisely. He was still just one human, yet he carried something greater. As the trader vessel drew closer, Ravi whispered to himself, "This is only the beginning." And in the vast silence of the stars, he felt ready for whatever came next.